Hello and welcome to another edition of The Movie Trap. I am one of your three stalwart co-hosts, Zach Powers, joined as always by...
And I am a second of those, Chris Boruff.
And I'm the third. My name's Russell Carlson.
No, the third, the least important, as we've all agreed.
That's right. Have not won a round, probably won't win a round.
If you have chosen this episode to be your introduction to the show, it's going to be a weird one for a number of reasons. Both the movie we're talking about and indeed the format being a little unusual. During our Halloween movie competition for a bonus film, Chris walked away with the bonus film that he can inflict on us at any time he chooses, and he chose immediately. So... this is not a regular competition round.
This is not.
This is off-season shit.
That's right. This is really it's really a movie trap without any consequences.
Right.
You know,
There's
like
no
he's trapped us in this movie and he gets no blowback. Yeah. This is it.
Yeah. But it's also great because I was free to pick any genre I wanted. There was no limits. I could just pick out whatever I wanted to throw at you guys randomly.
This is
and you went full on, brother. You certainly did.
This is for you millennial, only 90s kids will remember folks. This is the Master Ball of movie trap episodes. There is no escaping from Chris's choice. And we will not be, we will probably give our opinions on it, but they ultimately don't matter. We'll resume with normal episodes next time, but this is a bonus episode for fundamentally. Yes. Usually on this episode, we each pick a movie and a theme and award it points, just in case you decide to return next time, and the winner gets to pick the next theme. But as I said, this is not that episode. This is an episode about the 2018 film Border, a.k.a. Grands, in Swedish. A very Chris pick. If you're an older listener, you might recognize this is some Chris ass shit.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I won't spoil the summary yet, but I mean, it definitely starts out at one place and goes way another place.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, it's fun because it essentially does not warn you where it's going until it suddenly is there, and you have sat there for the rest of the film, so you might as well stay for the rest. It's a lot of fun.
A real movie trap, if you will.
Yeah, a real movie trap. This film is, of course, Border, as you just said. It is written by the author, I believe, Lindquist, of Let the Right One In.
And I believe also The Snowman.
No, that's actually, I think that's a different guy. I double checked that.
Okay.
Because I think, this guy's kind of like the Stephen King in Sweden. The guy you're referring to is more like the Dean Koontz in Sweden.
Okay.
So it's just a whole lot more of those books that have come out. They're all spooky, ooky monsters, but you can tell someone's definitely got a solid formula that they're just banging that gong every time on. So... this film starts
what? Just to clarify, my confusion was the director of Let the Right One In, who also did Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, also directed The Snowman.
Oh, that's a hard turn. That's too bad. Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's my
Tinker, Tailor was amazing,
and they're both Swedish.
You could have saved him. I gave you all the clues. Yeah, that's a rough time. So. All right, well, this film starts off quietly enough. There's a woman. I will say woman. I will briefly say there is some intersex circumstances in this, so I am assuming that this is how she has chosen to... what's the word, guys? It's the portray? Identify.
Yeah, identify.
Yeah. I'm assuming she is identifying as a woman. We'll get into that later. The thing is this. She is working as a security agent at a shipping yard. And she has this unusual appearance. She has kind of a almost Cro-Magnon-like look.
Think Geico caveman.
Yeah, but not that it's extreme, but not to the point where you wouldn't expect to see someone like this in everyday life. Like, you'd see someone like this and you'd kind of assume, like, maybe, you know, there's a genetic issue there. There's some sort of a birth defect. But we very quickly become aware of the fact she has an unusual talent, which is to smell emotions. She's very quiet, but she always can kind of tell when people are nervous going through the gate. So she can tell if they've got contraband or whatever they have on them they're not supposed to have. So at the first thing, she catches some kid who's running with a whole bunch of alcohol he's not supposed to have. So they take all that away. And eventually, they take it through one or two of these. She meets a person in line, and that person's wearing a suit. And he looks very upstanding, but something's wrong. And she nails him. She points him out of the crowd. She says, pull that guy back here. They go through all of his stuff in the back room. Her coworker's like, I don't know. I don't see anything special about this. It's just some random person. But she locks in and starts sniffing in somewhat of an uncomfortable way the guy's phone, and then finds a hidden SD card. And as soon as it's revealed, the guy rips it out of her hand and tries to swallow it. And then it kind of leads to a whole fight where they basically have to keep this guy from swallowing the SD card. You come to find out, the guy has been trafficking... He chews
it up, it's poison, he says, Hail Hydra. It's, you know.
Well, you come to find out that it's like he has been like smuggling child porn. So it suddenly becomes a much bigger deal and much stranger, because normally she's just catching people with, you know, alcohol and things like that. But now she's found an actual serious crime. So the police pull her in and they're talking to her and they're like, we can't really do more investigation on this because we don't know who the rest of the group is. And that sets up what I would suggest is the B story of this whole thing, which is trying to find out who the bad guys were.
No argument here.
Yeah.
No argument here.
Yeah. It's the B
like
story.
Like a Seinfeld episode, the A and B stories do coalesce at a certain point.
Yeah. So after that, we kind of go back to her job. She's not sure what to do next, and she meets this man named Vor. You find out his name later, but he's a man who looks just like her, and we're assuming man up front. Looks just like her.
Definitely resembles more of a Geico caveman.
Yeah.
He looks more like a Geico caveman, is what I'm saying.
I would say he definitely sort of is identifying as male or portraying as male. It was interesting.
It is, because this goes on later, because there is this whole maternal thing with her too. And like, I won't want to ruin it, but yeah, that's, I mean, like that. I think there's some fluidity in what their actual sex is, but I think there is a father and mother sort of thing. It seems like
sort of. Well, it's like an attraction.
Well,
it's like
no, I guess that's not true. I guess that's not true. Yeah.
I mean, we can get into it later, but it's definitely like, I would see this as sort of an interesting view of intersex relationships now that that's become more of a conversation, just trans and the rest of it.
Presently, it's worth noting, prior to that, she's in a sexless relationship with a fella named Roland.
Yep. I was just going to mention that because, she goes home to Roland after meeting this guy. I'll say it this way. When she meets Vor, there's kind of that moment in movies that they give you the sense that you're going to run into this person again. Like, there's just a little too much time. There's a little too much looking in each other's eyes. And then you're like, I bet this is going to be another part of it. Also, the fact that they look
exactly alike is a bit of a giveaway.
Yes. It's a bit of a giveaway, too.
Probably that, too. It would be weird if they introduced him and then he never came back.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, if they did that, then I'd be like, well, what was that? You know, anyway, that's...
Yeah. So, eventually, what happens here is she goes off on her own, and we kind of follow her for a little bit. Her life is split between work, taking care of her father, who has dementia, and the really sad relationship with Roland that we mentioned. And also, you find out that her neighbors, which might be the C story, are having a baby.
No.
And so she's helping a little bit, and it kind of goes back and forth.
The impression that I largely get from her relationship with Roland is that he is sort of using her a bit because she has a source of income and he kind of doesn't. And he lives with her sexless, sort of like mild acceptance in exchange for like free room and board.
Yeah, it's like exactly. He's like raising dogs and things like that. The dogs hate her.
He's like the amateur dog show market circuit.
Yeah, it has the vague
whatever.
sense of like someone who might have come home from her with a bar or from the bar at some point and just never went to his own home after that.
Well, yeah.
It is not a happy time.
I mean, they don't really hide it because you could hear texts and, I mean, like, he blatantly does it in front of her. I mean, he's not really all that ashamed or anything. It's almost
he's
like
definitely cheating.
Yeah, yeah.
So this all sets us up. First 15 minutes, refusal of the call was the first time she met Vor and didn't do anything about it. Second time she meets Vor at her job, though, she decides that he is up to something. She can't read him. She doesn't know what he's about, but she knows that he is like her, and she kind of wants more information.
True Twilight moment where where he realizes, I can't read you. I can't read you. I can't read you. Now, to be fair, in my personal life, I also have a hard time reading Vor as a genre, so...
That is a thing. That popped up immediately. This is one of those ones that if you try doing a Google search to understand the storyline later, you tend to get some odd results.
Vor. Put Vor in the back end of your search. So, what happens is that she pulls Vor out of line. They start giving him the full rundown, going through all of his stuff. This leads to an unfortunate thing where she commits him to a cavity search, and she has the male she's working with take Vor into the back room to do the cavity search, at which point you have a very uncomfortable moment as her coworker comes back out and explains that Vor is like her, meaning that he is intersex. And this is kind of the first time we're really introduced to the fact that she is intersex and he's intersex. And we don't really know what that means, but we do know that it was uncomfortable for him to be in a cavity search situation. So it's kind of a power reversal between the two, because she goes in the back room and she starts apologizing. At which point, Tina, in the very next scene, helps her neighbors deliver their baby. And there's an uncomfortable sequence after that where Vor and Tina sort of bond over mealworms, and there's all these like falling in love sequences that sort of happen, but
sort
it's
of bearing the
all
lead
based
in the falling in love with the mealworms, aren't we? Like they didn't. It's not like they said, "Oh, I love them." No, they were eating them.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say that. Yeah, they're lovingly eating the mealworms. Vor is like feeding her mealworms in the same way that like people would be like, you know, playfully feeding their lovers like strawberries and things, but it's worms. And that introduces you to the fact that something is definitely different with these two. They are extremely strange because usually eating bugs is not a fun time to think about. So, here we go. We see a scene in which Vor is screaming and retching in the woods, and we assume he is doing something. We suddenly see 2 feet appear from between his legs, and after we've understood that he's intersex, it leads you to think something strange has gone on. Tina, meanwhile, discovers a horrifying child porn ring by essentially following her nose up to an apartment owned by someone named Patrick, who we find out is probably a child photographer in general, who is in some way doing something terrible with children, specifically infants. And they find it by going into his apartment, finding a VHS tape that, again, Tina finds by smelling
hidden in a vase or something.
Hidden in a is in a trophy. Is in like a soccer trophy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And you know, so they arrest that guy, and you assume that Tina has sort of wrapped up the B plot of this movie. She goes back to Vor, and they begin a sexual relationship after a lightning storm. Essentially, we find out that they are both lightning rods, like living lightning rods. They get struck by lightning, and
is that it, or are they just terrified of it?
I thought they were just scared.
It just seems like they were just scared of it.
They've been struck by it a whole lot. Like that's one of the bonding moments. They like pull the thing out, and they have like the scars. So it's a thing
that
where
is true. It's a true. I've heard that if you get struck by lightning, the odds of you. And I should know this because I do have a crippling fear of lightning, so I relate to these characters quite a bit.
Wait, you have odds of getting?
Yeah, the magnetism around you increases, so it's seeking you out more. Apparently, that's what I read. I could be totally wrong about that. Just what I heard.
That sounds far out. So
it could be bullshit.
What happens in this case is that they wind up in sort of a soap opera fashion. In the wet of the recent rain, making love, they go outside, and you find out that their intersex nature was far more complicated than was previously explained. Essentially, Tina has what would be referred to as a phallus, and Vor is the female in this circumstance.
Looks a bit like a sort of a mushroom. I mean, as they do, but it looks more like a mushroom than normal.
It looks somehow more troll-like, I suppose. But the interesting thing is it's extremely graphic on screen when it occurs.
We've certainly hit our quota, guys, on awkward graphic sex scenes. I think we've hit our quota. I think, if you were coming here for a TNA, you came to the right place or the wrong place.
Actually, yeah, because generally speaking, we do not cover sex scenes that are like hot in the traditional sense.
No, not even close.
Yeah, no, we aren't pulling Zalman King out of the list. Usually it's something a lot stranger and far more like, tennis shoe at the Goodwill than it is Red Shoe Diaries. That's what I'm suggesting.
That's why one of the submissions we have for the tagline for this show is the movie trap. There is technically nudity.
I'm just saying we've hit our quota for awkward and uncomfortable love scenes to watch, because this was up there. This was up there.
Yeah. Well, to pull it all in, get it done pretty quickly here. Tina and Vor are now in a sexual relationship. Vor reveals to Tina that she is actually a troll this whole time, and you have a background reveal that her whole life has been a lie. And then the very next scene, Tina throws Roland out and winds up inspecting Vor's fridge. And this is the first moment you really understand Vor is up to something he's not, or she or they are not supposed to be up to. There's a box in there, and it's got what appears to be a little dwarf baby in it. And a troll baby. And she confronts him with it, and then he sort of explains that this thing is sort of like clay. It's not a real baby. It's not really alive until it's been fertilized. And he's been essentially like making these things naturally all the time, but usually he's not around someone to help fertilize them.
It's roughly, it's like a chicken laying eggs.
It's like a chicken egg. Yeah. And then after this, Tina starts suspecting that Vor is somehow involved with the child porn ring, because she does interrogation that leads to some more information that the gentleman that this woman is so afraid of giving up, the big bad behind this whole ring,
the kingpin, the big honk,
the kingpin, the source of the children is most likely Vor. She keeps describing him as having a similar face. And then the very next scene after that, Vor kills Patrick, yanks him out of police custody by creating a subterfuge to stop the car, beats the guy to death behind the car, runs away into the woods.
Summons an elk or something of the nature?
Yeah, there's a whole thing that happens in the movie where each time Vor or Tina are out in nature, you got this kind of communing with nature quality. Like Tina keeps hanging out with like moose and wolves, and foxes come up and hang out, and she stops at one point because she knows an elk's about to run across the road.
Very strange Disney movie. It's a very strange Disney movie.
She is a questionable Disney princess.
Yes, indeed.
So finally, Tina confronts Vor. Vor reveals that his baby is a hissit, and that is just like I said, an unfertilized egg, and he's been using it to steal babies, including her neighbors. That's the reveal we have right after that sequence.
To clarify, specifically what he's doing is he's taking the real baby and leaving the hissid, which is sort of an empty shell, behind.
Can we talk about that term? Because I have never heard that term before.
We can. Yeah, it's essentially it's a real term. It's okay. It is a term for kind of troll. Like it's
okay.
When I looked up the history of this, it's a different sort of meaning, because it's sort of a troll, but it's like a slightly different flavor of troll. The one detail with this, to kind of keep it mentally in mind, is how they're separating it. When they were translating Lord of the Rings into Swedish, orcs were translated as orkish or something, and all the goblins were translated as hissy or hissit, basically to separate those two.
This is more to do with like Scandinavian mythology, that kind of thing.
This is definitely more to do with like Sweden. So it is an actual thing. However, I think some of the mythology has been sort of glommed on and added to this. So they've kind of taken the basic idea and gone from that.
Okay, so there's my challenge, Boruff. I want you to continue the rest of the episode without ever bringing up Scandinavian mythology.
Yes.
That's my challenge to you.
We've all been on the Scandinavia ride at Epcot Center that I think is maybe now a Frozen ride. But
oh man,
when I was a kid, it was just some Scandinavian shit.
Probably is some Frozen stuff.
Let me see. The final bits of this whole story, Tina confronts Vor, and he runs away. They commit to a police ambush on a boat. Vor leaves a note saying, "Come to the boat and run away with me." She essentially shows up and says, "I care about you, but you're a monster because you've been stealing babies." And she's turning him over to the police, and rather than giving up, he just runs and jumps into the water, which we've seen a few times with them going under the water for a lengthy period of time, but we're not led to believe he can just survive that jump.
Slightly worth noting that Vor has also informed her that part of the reason he does this is because humans have been horrific to trolls in the past. They have kidnapped and tortured them, and there are suspicions that Tina has in regards to her parentage because her dad is definitely not a troll. He's a guy.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes clear, too, that, like, what she goes back to, like, talk to him to kind of get closure on her part of that story, and you find out that he essentially took her in after her parents had been tortured in the psychiatric institution nearby. So it was a thing where, you don't know what the situation was as far as him and the parents was concerned, but you know that he had cared for her after that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite as evil a thing as Vor had led it to seem like it was going to be.
Yeah. Though Vor, like, truly despises humans. He thinks like they're a scourge upon troll kind, as it were.
Yeah, he's not an empath.
He'll grind their bones to make his bread.
Yeah, he's not a sympathetic troll, but he's an empathetic troll. Like I think I use that correctly. You can understand his circumstance without actually agreeing with his circumstance.
Yeah,
maybe. But anyway, what happens is that this thing goes back to Tina just living in the woods on her own now. And as a closer on the film, a box arrives, and you find out that a living Hissit troll baby is in the box. And you assume that what most likely happened is that Vor came to term and sent the baby to Tina to take care of now. And that is Border.
Roll credits. Yeah, it's a strange one. Because
like I said, this is some Chris shit.
Yeah, man. You definitely threw it on this one. Because like again, when it was just the fact that she was just an unfortunate looking woman, and even the fact that met a man who was also unfortunate looking similarly. Like, I thought that was a fine enough story. When they threw in the troll stuff, although I didn't know they were trolls, I just thought they were just, Saiyans or something because they had tails or whatever. But that makes sense. But now I can't get Shrek out of my head, although they were ogres.
The Swedish creature Saiyans.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, from the Swedish anime Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Tail babies.
You told me not to bring up Scandinavian mythology, so I'm just going to have to nod at you.
That's right.
I thought when
she bore Goku, and
when the movie introduced Frieza in the third act, I was like, this is truly a weird direction.
But yeah, and then it kind of goes into this weird sort of almost fantasy realm of, werewolves and goblins and what have you, without really giving you much warning that it's going to do that. It just kind of goes into it, and then you're like, oh, okay. I thought I was operating on this reality, but apparently there's this whole other reality that really makes this whole reality that I've been dealing with for, I don't know, half the movie seem kind of like, well, then I don't really care what happens to these babies. And anyway, sorry.
Well, actually, I'll make a question to you there. A couple
That's
questions.
not. I don't. Well, my understanding, just to clarify, the pedophile part of the movie, that is, very much a part of the movie.
Yeah.
There is a sex trafficking child ring. QAnon would be proud.
Jesus.
But yes, what is happening is Vor is, I guess, a child sex trafficker who uses these clay dummy babies to steal real human babies that he sells to human sex traffic rings with the intention of making the people who run these rings self-destruct, in part, but also ruining the lives of the children.
I was about to say, there's got to be a better way to do that. You saw him manhandle a dude with his bare hands. I think the kind of understanding is that the children don't survive this. I think that was kind of the idea in the film, because the babies are being left. And it's also important to say that the babies, when they're left, look like the human babies. Like he's done something to them so they look the same.
He said they're made out of clay.
Yeah.
So he molds them to look like the human babies. However, they return to their own shape after a couple days, and that's how the big reveal happens, that the baby is not the baby, that he actually stole her neighbor's child. Right, because like the neighbor's kid just becomes suddenly sick and just like lethargic, and she's the only one who kind of knows why. But yeah, it was just to sort of take such a big gear shift between going on like the 405 and then just going on, La Brea. Mm-hmm. Like that's it's a different, you're trained your brain so much to do it throughout this movie. And then to get off and to do such a speed shift, it makes it not only disconcerting, but almost like, well, if you're going to waste my time through half the movie, what makes you think you're going to waste my time through the other half?
I understand, I think that, obviously, her job is, of course, she is, security for things coming in and out of Sweden. And I think, obviously, the connection, of course, is, cultural relations and cultural animosity being the main thrust, and being ingrained in a culture that has perhaps been historically predatory upon your own. That's all the point of the theme. However, if your revenge is literal child trafficking, man, you took it really far. You went in a weird direction with your revenge, my friend.
I mean, evidently that was a thing that was added by the director. That was one of the things about this, because the original story was much shorter. So it is interesting what things got changed or added by the director and what things you guys are potentially having issues with, because the child trafficking thing was added.
And I understand also of why that was added, because Tina herself was stolen away from her parents as a child and raised in this foreign culture.
Yeah, I mean, it gives the characters a place to go, so it does solidly, attach the A and the B stories together, so it's not just random things happening. But I would put it to you guys this. I have a question for you both, though. What genre is this? Because I recognized it is a procedural, but beyond that, it has... What do you guys think?
It's a light fantasy drama.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me it was a procedural, then I watched it, I'd be pissed off. I guess it's just because it starts out with such a sort of mundane procedural sort of plot, and then to go into this sort of weird, Tolkien land. It jumps into magical realism at one point. Yeah. Yeah, so the genre that I would probably put this in would just be, it's surreal drama, really. I mean, it's a stretch to call it fantasy just because you're dealing with fantastical beasts and where to find them. But it's more or less, it doesn't really matter that they're ogres or trolls or anything. Like I said, the movie would have worked if they were just ugly.
Yes.
You know, the metaphor still plays if they're just ugly.
With the best fantasy or horror or genre fare, like the metaphor has real world analogs, but you know, and that doesn't make it less of that genre.
It starts out leaning in so hard to those analogs, and then I thought it was just going to go to the whole transgender thing and the whole, you know, gender is fluid and that kind of thing. I thought that's where we were going to go to too, and that was going to be a completely different wrinkle than just your mundane procedural. And even that, there's another wrinkle in between that. You know, like it takes you on for being such a slow-paced movie. I mean, this movie is really, really patient. There's a lot of quiet, meditative moments in this movie, and not a whole lot of rising tension throughout it, really, up until like pretty much the car ride home with the guy gets the shit kicked out of him. So for it being so kind of static, although I mean the camera's not static, but everything's just real quiet. The fact that the plot jumps from wrinkle to wrinkle to wrinkle is a bit fucking, you know, you do get a bit of whiplash.
It's a very still movie, yes. Like it moves slowly, it takes its time. You know,
it seems like the film gets more chaotic. It seems like it's more chaotic as Tina is more involved with the people around her. Like whenever she's off in the woods is when it really kind of just becomes more of a mood piece. But then as soon as she goes into any circumstance with people, the cutting's usually a lot faster. There's a lot more people interacting. There's a lot more things occurring.
Sure. And she, like, much of her...
most of the horrible reveals also happen indoors. That's one of the other things. Like, everything outside is usually handled as very pretty and enjoyable, except for the lightning.
And it's worth noting that this is... So, Tina learns something about herself. By the end of the movie, actually, she scoffs when her dad refers to her as Tina because she finds out her original name is Reva or something. I don't know the exact pronunciation. And at the end of the movie, she has purposefully and clearly alienated herself from the strongest connections she has to both human society and the sole connection she has to troll society. And ultimately is like, in a way, more alone, but is more truly who she is, I guess, if that makes sense. Though she does obviously receive that baby in the final scene.
Yeah, that's why I think the drive is procreation. You know, because there's that moment where she drops off her neighbors and she just kind of looks longingly outside of the hospital, and I kind of got the sense that there was this sort of maternal instinct within her that she needed to fulfill, and Vor was sort of that for her too, because they're both kind of cowering in the lightning, and she kind of like takes care of him in a strange way, and then, you know, once he gets violated by the cavity search, she kind of takes a more, you know, like, I'm sorry, you have every right to throw a complaint, and then kind of like seeks him out.
That happens in the start. Like, because she meets him and it becomes a thing where you can almost get like a sense of like the dark and mysterious stranger from this person. Like, she's like, you get a sense that something's up with Vor. Like, it doesn't feel like a completely easy experience. Like, it feels like there's some tension. And then when that happens, it kind of flips it. So I think in a real way, us in the audience, as she, are probably feeling bad for this character, but it catches you off guard because then your guard's down. And then you find out this character's doing terrible things. However, I think the thing with the baby at the end, like, it's important that they had that, because otherwise it would have been a really, like, a depressing ending. Like, at least you know that, true. Like, at least you know the future is that she's going to raise that baby. Yeah, the baby's going to be raised knowing it's a troll, you know?
And the other thing is she also receives, this is something we maybe glossed over, but Vor mentions there's like a colony of trolls in Finland. And with the baby, she receives a postcard from Finland, implying that she is welcome to rejoin her own people, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, if it weren't for that baby, if it weren't for that last scene, this would have been a movie where Tina ended up deeply isolated. The last scene would have been her abandoning her adoptive father, who sort of stole her from his parents after taking like a job abusing and torturing her native people, and then visiting the grave of her dead parents, which would have been a pretty downer ending, I imagine.
Yeah, I really didn't even have a problem with the tail baby at the end. I thought, okay, so it's kind of it is more about like getting in touch with who you are as a people, you know. And again, we could have done without the ogre shit. You could have done this with fucking anything, but I sort of get why they did it, to sort of keep it to throw you off track, you know, because again, such a patient movie to have such a whirlwind of a plot. It not that it doesn't work. I just didn't like it.
Well, did you like Let the Right One In?
No, not really. You know, I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we watched it for the podcast. And I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't love it.
Did we watch it for the podcast?
I do like...
Good gravy.
I think so.
I can't remember. I saw it originally. I saw it originally before we did the podcast, but I will say, I think Let the Right One In is really solid. I really like that movie. I like this movie all right. I think Let the Right One In. I mean, they both, this author, very into, I guess, like, weird forced genital reassignment stuff, because that's definitely a theme in both those movies.
There's definitely a lot of Kafka, you know, like metamorphosis and that kind of shit, you know, like...
Well, he has a lot of transgender stuff in it, because yeah, I agree with that, because the vampire child in the other one did have a transgender circumstance. He used to be a boy. But it
wasn't even, like, it's not so much transgender as almost, it seems like, based on the scars that happen in both movies, it is forced reassignment.
Well, it's not well, yeah, okay, I understand what you mean, but the kid basically had gender reassignment to a degree, because he's then is portraying as a child, as a girl when we meet the vampire child.
I'm just drawing the distinction between. Obviously,
I think Tina was just born that way, because that was the thing that I actually wanted to ask you guys about. Because what was this when the sex scene occurs? I'm kind of a child. I kind of wanted to know what the circumstance was like.
I confused something. I'm thinking about the scars that are related to. I think they both had prenatal tails that were
removed. That's right. That's right. Yeah. See, that's what I thought that was during that sex scene, Boruff. I thought it was her tail coming back. Like that's what I thought that was. And then the thrusting began, and I was like, oh, that is not a tail.
That one, I had this one suggested to me by a friend with no warning, and I had a similar experience to that, where the sex scene came up, and I was very shocked that it was so graphic, and it didn't leave anything to the imagination. So, you know, I'll admit that while I did like this movie a lot and I thought it was good, I also wanted to go ahead and show you guys something that would have a scene in it that was so what the fuck, that would make you guys wonder, like, how I didn't expect that.
I think this is just payback for Zach. No, of course I didn't. No, but I think this is just payback for Zach doing Don't Look Now.
Chris
for
loves
that weird. Don't Look Now. And then
I love Don't Look Now.
Yeah, but that awkward sex scene, you have to sit there and watch it. I mean, that's really your favorite part of the fucking movie. You know, and then the lighthouse is punishing me for the weird mermaid sex thing. You know what? That's how I figure. This is our.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not too bothered by weird sex scenes. Like, really graphic rape scenes make me uncomfortable. Sex scenes that are like this, or Don't Look Now, or The Lighthouse, whatever, it's fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's graphic in that it's like I'm blushing and I'm like, oh my, it's not like WAP or anything. But like
it's a good song.
Fuck yeah, that song's a banger, dude. I love that song. But all of our sex scenes thus far have either had something to do with some mythological creature or very, very awkward and uncomfortable for everybody involved. And with this one, it's both. So
this stuff, this would not be a big deterrent for me. So for about, it's probably been 12 years at this point, I have heard that, technically speaking, Irreversible is a great movie, and I have never been able to bring myself to watch Irreversible because I know that there is a very intense rape scene, and I don't want to watch that ever.
Yeah, the rape scene's intense in that, but
I've never seen it.
I would go so far as to say that the entire movie is a reason not to watch that movie. It's definitely part of the French extreme, so it's really violent, it's really gory, but man, Gaspar Noé, he's kind of like Lars von Trier in that sense that you watch it and you're like, wow, that is some technical artistry that took some real intent to do that. It's amazing they could do that, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to vomit and it's unpleasant. And some of his movies are, I would go so far as to say, kind of boring.
Oh, really? Would you say that? Because we did do a Lars von Trier double feature in the film Concussion days. The first movie I thought of, if I was able to award a point, I would have done it to you because you brought up Lars von Trier. Because the first movie I thought of was every time one of these animals came up, I just kept waiting for a little fox to say "Chaos reigns," because we did that Antichrist movie, which is also kind of
I haven't seen
similar.
Antichrist, but I have seen that clip, that 5-second clip, about 1,000,000 times.
It's the highlight of the movie.
Yeah, that GIF, that whole movie, it's a feature-length movie setting up one GIF. So that's it. Yeah, you don't need to see the rest of that. There's a whole lot of just uncomfortable William Dafoe naked.
Right. Yeah. It opens
sex
with
scenes.
right. Yeah. It opens with it.
You thought the lighthouse was awkward.
That was tame.
That was
folks.
awkward, Dafoe. That's tame, Dafoe. Dafoe goes from fucking Spider-Man to Antichrist, and Lighthouse is right in the middle.
Yeah, well, somewhere
You don't know how correct you are. Yeah.
It is similar. I thought of Antichrist was the first movie I thought of, just because, I felt, okay, this is a movie that's going to make me be uncomfortable. And it wasn't really that uncomfortable. It's just that I was uncomfortable where the story was going. And so I had to kind of retrain my brain. Okay, now we're doing this now. And maybe it's just my, old age now where I'm just like, God, I have to do so much maintenance to watch this movie. It seems jarring and again, very much a Boruff pick, because I wouldn't expect a Boruff pick that wouldn't make me fucking work for it. So, well done.
Well, if I get another shot, I will do something a little bit more fun and exciting and strange. But yeah.
You are getting another shot. You're picking the next movie.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. I guess we're all going to find out.
Political thrillers.
I think you've already said in the previous episode what it is, but we'll
readdress that later. I will say I want to talk a little bit about the main actress because I thought that even though I did really enjoy the movie, she was fantastic.
Yeah, her name is Ava Melander, and the other gentleman was Aro Milanov. That was who played Vor.
I looked up. I didn't look up the fellow who played Vor. I assume this is also the case for him, but I did look up the woman who played Tina, and she is definitely in heavy prosthetic. That is not a natural genetic.
No, she's a very attractive woman. She's completely normal looking. They actually, it's fun when you go
around for a while.
Oh yeah, she's pretty well known.
The makeup is very much. I will say the makeup is excellent in terms of I did not know.
Very convincing. Yeah. Very convincing.
I did not know.
Yeah, this is definitely on the level of makeup roles. This is similar to Monster when Charlize Theron sort of dressed up as that. However, this is also something that there's some really fascinating interviews with the makeup people on this. They went into detail on the fact that they went for a full Cro-Magnon look at first, but then it looked a little too much like the Geico commercials. So then,
so I wasn't alone.
You weren't alone. So the director sat there and they worked back and forth until they had pulled off enough that she looked acceptable as a normal human being, but it also was very clear that she was Cro-Magnon. And then they had to figure out how to get that makeup on in roughly 4 hours, as opposed to taking 8 or 9 that it had taken them. So it came down to 4 pieces of prosthetic. Vor is, I think, a similar thing. I think Tina probably got a little bit more work. Vor, the actor himself, has a very wide face and also has very pronounced male features. So they just had to really sort of bring out his eyebrow ridges and his nose a little extra. Both very attractive people, but yeah, it took a little bit of work to get them to look like Cro-Magnon.
Yeah, and you could just think about, okay, you got to wake up at 5 a.m, put on this mask that you got to go wear, and now you got to go stand naked in a frozen pond. So good on her, really. Well, good sport. And that's, and I think more to the credit of the acting that it's not just the prosthetics that make her seem animal and beast-like. The way she reacts to Roland kicking her out, and the way she even reacts to the dogs right at the beginning of the movie. I almost thought like, oh, this is one of those horror movies that I don't know is a horror movie yet, huh, Boruff? I know what you're doing.
Yeah. You thought she was going to kill the dogs or something,
like she
and
was
just become a monster.
Right, yeah. It turned out to be far more tame, just killing babies.
Well, she didn't kill any of the babies.
They trafficked them for sex. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that you don't know what happens to the babies, but it's probably bad. Yeah. It's probably a pretty grim ending.
We got some guesses.
Yeah, there's pretty heavy inferences that Vor is working with pedophile rings.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you know that, but yeah, yay. Yeah, it's one of those things where there's like a real hard left turn in the middle, so everything's a nice kind of safe movie until suddenly you're like, oh, this isn't just a slightly dangerous circumstance. This is going all the way dark.
Well, I mean, if we had just stuck with a pedophile ring, it would still just be a procedural, then it would still just be her hunting down a pedophile ring and, whatever. Mm-hmm. But adding this whole fold into it is sort of what makes you, where the shock of the pedophilia ring doesn't stay with you as the awkward sex scene you just watched, or the fact that they're not really human.
That's all very much off screen. It's worth noting. For those of you considering watching this movie, like who are deeply disturbed by the presence of something like the pedophilia subplot, like the degree to which it's off screen is pretty high. There's one moment where they are watching a tape that you don't see and you hear sounds of abuse, but that's the most extreme moment in the entire film.
Yeah, it's handled roughly the same way as like Grizzly Man, where Wolfgang, I can't remember the famous German director. Everybody knows this guy.
Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog.
Come on, man.
You don't know Werner Herzog's name.
Come on, man.
Oh my god, my brain just died. But yeah, Werner Herzog. It's like in Grizzly Man where he's listening to the recording of Timothy Treadwell being eaten by the bear. It's like, you kind of get the inference and you don't hear it as much, but you kind of see more of a reaction. And the guy who discovers the tape looks very, very sick. That said, I will point out that doesthedogdie.com exists. So I've been using it for a lot of stuff because we both have dogs, and or Sarah and I have dogs.
Do not ever tell my wife about this webpage. Do not ever.
Well,
we're just going to...
the deal is...
She watches every week, so honey, you just don't ever go to that website.
My girlfriend knows about it for sure.
Yeah, because it's...
And
I actually have
this...
I swear by it, and it's been very helpful because the thing is that if a dog dies in a movie, my wife will be very upset, and it will ruin the rest of our evening. So we check before we watch, but it also includes other things. So if you have unusual cases of like tryptophobia or whatever that is with the little eyes, if you don't like seeing people bite their fingernails, all of these sorts of things get marked and labeled as a Wikipedia sort of searchable thing, so you can find out before you get into a movie if there's anything that's going to trigger you too badly.
And I think it's important. Like, so for instance, this movie, my girlfriend, her general strategy is she'll often, if she's unsure about a movie because she's not particular about spoilers, she'll read about it ahead of time. She had, before we watched this, read about this movie because she remembered seeing trailers for it that I actually didn't remember seeing when we went to like the indie fucking movie house a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I can't watch that movie. And I think it's almost certainly because of the child sex stuff. I don't think she would give a shit about the troll sex scene, to be honest with you. And
in hindsight, like, I probably should have warned you guys in hindsight. That was actually not great on my
I don't
part,
have a lot
I forgot there was such a serious section.
I have to admit, I don't have a lot of like things that are like, this is just a deal breaker for me. So that's fine. I don't feel the need for a lot of warnings, but like for some people it's important. For instance, with my girlfriend, the first episode of the second season of The Wire, like put her off watching it for like a year. Like we couldn't get over like a certain thing that happens in that episode involving transporting humans.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I will not say anything, but yes. No, I mean, really,
I still haven't finished watching The Wire, so I'm not sure.
Fucking heathen. I have a pretty high threshold of what I could tolerate in a movie, obviously, because I sat through this movie. But when it comes to child pornography, I think most directors, when they want to do it tasteful enough to where it is something that is not celebrated and should not be watched. Like what immediately comes to mind is the penultimate episode of True Detective, when Matthew McConaughey shows Woody Harrelson the tape, then they blackmail the one dude from Deadwood in it, and everybody's reaction, you only see the reaction of them watching the tape. You don't actually see the tape. You barely even hear the tape. I don't even think you hear anything, because I think it's all quiet. So you just see their reaction. That is okay with me, because that signifies you don't have to know what it is to know it to be terrible. You don't have to see it to know it's terrible.
Yeah. Like that's a classic horror movie, like way back in the day, like a dogma. It's like, don't show, because what the audience imagines is probably going to be more horrifying than what you could put on screen. It works both ways.
Yes.
Yeah. Like showing sexual abuse of children or something like that is very triggering for people. But at the same time, there is a benefit to just not showing the most horrific thing in your movie, because you're going to fill in that gap in your own brain, and it's going to be more intense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think of what that sex scene with the ogres could have been. If they didn't have to see that.
I mean, it's definitely like a silent scream type thing. Because that's very common to see, like the reaction, the emotion, to understand the emotional reaction and the level of emotionality behind something, rather than actually having to see it yourself. Because there's also the fact that a lot of times in these things, I've noticed within horror films specifically, what is sometimes horrifying to someone on screen wouldn't be horrifying to someone in the audience. In this case, it's very clearly that it would be horrifying. But a lot of times, if you go back to like 1950s, you'll see someone like being eaten by a giant ant, and they'll cut away to someone screaming, and the scream is supposed to be scary, but if they actually had shown someone being eaten by a giant ant in the 1950s, I'd probably just laugh. So it definitely, I think, is a good way to broadcast that to the home audience in all eras, because it's very hard to understand how intense an emotion would be to something out of the context. So yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, seeing a giant ant alone would be, what the fuck? But anyway, but a giant ant in the 1950s, you better believe it. I would probably laugh my ass off. I'd probably be like,
I have to concede,
nice.
If I saw a giant ant in real life, I'd probably be pretty fucking scared. But if I saw one
for terror.
But if I saw one in the movie Them, I probably wouldn't be that frightened.
God.
Them is a classic, guys.
Well,
anyway,
put it on the list.
Sorry.
I've never seen it. I know what it is, but I've never seen it. We'll do giant animals. You can do them. I'll do Night of the
giant
Lepus.
Animal. Right. Oh no, God, no.
Yeah.
No.
You can pull Food of the Gods.
Carlson. I'm doing the Amazing Colossal Man. No, I'm doing fuck you. I'm doing a fucking
Honey, I Blew Up the Baby. You do Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Guy's name? Damn it, I can't think of his name. Honey, I Blew Up the Baby. That's I'll do Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
So yeah, Honey, hey, Brett, I think that going back to Border, why is it called Border, Boruff?
Well,
in Sweden, it's called Grans.
Yeah, well, she works on the border. She's on a border security agent, and she's probably at the border of humanity. Okay. And she's on the outskirts of society, so she's always on the border.
That was my interpretation as well. I thought that like being on the border of human and beast or whatever.
She on the border of self-discovery. On the
we're on the border of Sweden to Finland, where the rest of the trolls live.
Yeah,
could be anything.
Per the internet, Grans translates to border, frontier, boundary, restriction, limit. It's kind of a vague But
Okay.
I do think that it's sort of what I mentioned earlier. Like, she works as a person who inspects people coming in and out of the country. She herself has a strange relationship with the country that she lives in because she is an outside person, or really, frankly, the species she lives in. And she exists on that fringe somehow, both within and without. Obviously, she finds Vor abhorrent in what he does and ultimately repudiates him, and at the same time pushes away every human person that is especially close to her, because she also finds them irreconcilable with her worldview. She is literally on the border between these two worlds.
Well, it's also
that's
like
how I read it.
he's abhorrent to parts. Like the obvious things of him stealing children, she's abhorrent to. But then, like, he introduces her to things that aren't accepted in human culture that are something that has always been true about her. So he helped open her up to that. Like for instance, eating insects. They never really explain what the insects do to them, but it's always a thing that everyone else, I think most people would not want to eat insects. So the fact that it's like one person accepts her interest in eating insects and that maybe it's not weird to eat insects was another thing that went on in there. It was interesting.
Yeah. And there are aspects of human life that she is not completely irreconcilable to. Again, the maternal instinct, she is kind to her neighbor who has the baby stolen, and she works in tandem with the police to stop this horrific pedophile ring. Like, there are aspects of morality. Like, she says something at the end on the boat, something about how she thinks this I don't remember the exact quote, but it's the gist is like this this hate born out of revenge is abhorrent to her, and she doesn't believe in it. And that doesn't necessarily make her human, but it might make her amenable to the ideas of humanity.
Yeah, I think it might have been last lines. Tina, I don't see the point of evil. Vor, so you want to be human? Question mark. Tina, I don't want to hurt anyone. Is it human to think that way? I think is the question.
That's the
that
one I'm
she
thinking
poses
of,
to him
yes.
on the boat. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it sort of Vor sort of implies that to be this troll is to be evil, which you would certainly think is true considering how trolls are portrayed most of society. And the whole stealing kids, grinding them to make their bones. I understand guarding bridges, what have you.
It seems like he might have
they guard bridges.
He might have found a compromise between his morals and what he could blame on his own nature. That's what I think. Like, I don't think that. I think it's an unacceptable, amoral stance, but he just doesn't see people as humans, and he's taken a very selfish,
right? No, his rationalization for that is that his
Yeah.
species is evil, and that should just be expected of them.
I think it cuts both ways. I think the thing is, what you have is a situation where obviously Tina was born of a situation where her parents were forced into this sort of hospital that had a lot of trolls who were tortured and killed, very plainly. And she was rescued from it. And now Vor is coming back and doing something very similar, where he is just flatly not regarding human beings as sentient or deserving of life or respect in the same way that once humans felt towards him. And I think Tina's rejecting both, in a manner of speaking.
Do we get the sense that these creatures live long lives, don't they? I mean, because this whole genocide of trolls, you would think would have happened thousands of years ago or something.
They don't really say. They introduce that evidently they have special abilities. Like, we get the sense that Vor has been traveling around a lot. He also can, I guess, exist underwater, which we kind of have a hint of, but then we find out
crush a man's skull with his bare hands too. Yeah. So it I don't know. It does seem like that. It seems like an old grudge that he's holding on to, and that again, the socio-political analogies you can make from that are rich. You know, there are plenty of things that you can think of that, like, how far is too much? When is retribution just revenge? When is justice just, you know, bloodthirst? It seems like this movie wants to go there, and it does try to make you go there. But again, I was too distracted by the magical stuff that didn't pay off or anything. So.
Yeah,
I understand.
I think it's a mixed success in conveying those ideas, but I do think those are the ideas that it was trying to convey. Ultimately.
Sure, and and it's a well done movie. I mean, like, it's not like it's not too long. You know, the pacing of the production gets a little strange because, again, she's mostly in wilderness. You know, there's not a lot for a procedural. She's really out in the woods a lot. You know, it's not really she's, you know, busting down doors and taking down. It's very rare that this happens in the movie.
Well, it bounces back and forth between the two stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And not even in a jarring way. It's very patient. It doesn't really overload you with a lot of overstimulating visuals except for the troll sex.
And even the two stories are one fully in the human world and one fully in the troll taped up the fridge, and there's a little clay baby in their world.
Sure, and they converge in the end, and it's satisfying enough. It's just, you know, apparently this movie was, like, really popular. I didn't know, but, like, I know this director is kind of like a hot thing coming up right now, and you know, I know Sarah Silverman had, like, a whole fucking to do about it, which is great. You know, I'm glad that movies outside of Hollywood get made. I just read it on the IMDb page, buddy. Don't sweat it. You know, so that means it's totally true. But it's nice that you get to see movies get at least sort of, you know, hidden handshakes among movie buffs that don't come from the Hollywood system. You know, that come from foreign countries and stuff like that. Especially from Sweden. Very rich history of awesome filmmaking coming from Sweden. And this was certainly a movie from Sweden. It certainly was that. So is that beautiful part of the world, though. Beautiful part of the world.
So would you call that final thoughts on that? What's
yeah, I guess that's my final thoughts. I mean, I it's good, but I didn't like it.
Okay. I accept that. This is a film I liked quite a bit. Of course, I suggested it to everybody. I did it mostly to torture Russell to a degree. It's a slower, it's a magical realism film. Very hard to pin down to a specific genre. However, I did enjoy it. I got to the end and was, I felt uplifted at least that things would continue and that it wouldn't be a completely downer ending. But yeah, I would suggest this to anybody. If you also have friends that enjoy Sweden, there's a lot of stuff in there for Swiss fans or Sweden fans. Excuse me, not Switzerland fans.
Look up your friends' likes on Facebook, and if Sweden is one of them, say, "Hey man, I got a movie for you."
If you have any. Yeah, if it's baby sealing, unfriend that friend immediately and report him to the police.
Yeah, if it's child trafficking, recommend Border and then unfriend and report to the police.
Call the authorities.
Yeah, and if they're into Ghost, that's another good tie for Sweden. Yeah. If you see Ghost as their favorite band, do you know for a fact that they are Sweden fans?
Are they on the Facebook page? I think I might be a troll. I got a movie for them. And it's called Trolls World Tour.
That's right, Trolls World Tour. That's right.
It's called Trolls 2. It's about a little town called Nilbog.
That's right, where heavy metal is the bad guy. They don't like heavy metal in Sweden, last I checked.
I guess, Chris, are you done? I didn't mean to interrupt with my reference.
I reached the end of my sentence and pretty much the end of my brain. You are welcome to take us through the rest of this, and we'll see where we end up.
So let me give my final thoughts on Border. I think Border is a really interesting movie. It's the kind of movie that I am glad exists, and I'm glad I watched, but I don't really feel like I'm going to revisit ever. I saw a few reviews of it online that were like, this is really transgressive Lars von Trier stuff. I didn't feel that way about this movie. I felt like it was moderately successful in what it was going to do. I felt like it was deeply unique in what it is. And I don't know. I appreciate movies that are deeply unique in what they are and not without being reprehensibly offensive, because sometimes that's a way to be deeply unique that is just cheap and silly. And I think this is unique in a way there where the people who made it had real ideas and thoughts and intentions that, even if I don't think they worked for me 100% of the time, I can appreciate the effort and the final product. So yeah, that's how I feel about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was a classic Boruff movie. I do wipe him like he's.
Oh yeah, this is a Chris movie for sure.
This is a fucking.
This is some Chris shit.
Yeah. I could tell that I've killed you a little bit inside, Russell, so I feel better.
I want to make, going forward, this is some Chris shit, a thing that we can say on this podcast. And if people listen regularly, we can start an episode with, this is some Chris shit.
This is some Chris shit.
And they'll know what it means.
I love it.
That
Color
is
Out of
accurate.
Space? Color Out of Space was some Chris shit.
That was some total Chris shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, sometimes I do not flinch when I see Amazon suggest something to me. I'm like, yeah, man, maybe.
Funky Forest,
Maybe.
Let's go. Let's try it.
And maybe, you know what? As time goes on, maybe we'll discover what some Russell shit is and what some Zach shit is.
Oh, that's too easy. I mean, you know, I've already. If I ever
Police
do win
Academy.
this,
Police
if I
Academy.
ever do, if I ever do win this, this movie trap, the movie trap, I've got a category already in mind that is going to be quite different. Be quite different.
I'm excited to play with the category.
One of these days, Zach. One of these days.
I'm very excited.
be the
I
next
myself
one.
want to play with the categories and do something a little weird, maybe a certain director and actor, or something that's not so much a theme.
Yeah, I kind of want to pigeonhole you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be fun. But that's a good transition, because if we're done discussing Border, we have to discuss what's coming next on this show.
That's right.
And frankly, Chris picked the movie, the episode before this. He picked this movie.
God.
And you know what? He's picking the fucking next one too, because Chris, you have the next theme and you get to start it off. So why don't you tell us? You already mentioned this last episode, but for those who missed it.
Well, we'll do it one more time. Yeah. So I'm kind of a monster. I picked out 3 movies in a row. We're going to hopefully fix that as soon as we get through the next one. And the next one in this case is going to be political thrillers. And I picked out the movie, the old movie, The Parallax View. Old enough to have a young and handsome actor in it by the name of my brain is dying. I can only think of Dick Tracy right now.
Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty.
Thank you. So
You're
I
welcome.
had this one suggested to me, so I'm going in blind too. I'm excited.
Oh my goodness.
I have no opinion. Yes, sir.
And we should mention, for us, this political thriller theme, this is the lead up to the 2020 election. For you listening, that election is over. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I don't know how you feel. You may not want to listen to talking about politics.
They probably saw the thing Border and probably ran for the hills. They're like, I don't want to know.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean it's roughly going to be the equivalent of all those poor people that got really, really, really into House of Cards, and then Trump won, and it came back, and everyone was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and then everyone got Me Too'd, and we really didn't feel good about it.
Right. Realpolitik apparently is not good. Who'd have thunk? But yeah, I only know The Parallax View just because I've read a Sid Field book, and it's his favorite movie to reference in every Sid Field book I've ever read.
That might be the only way I know it too. I don't think I actually remember anything about the story.
I don't think I've ever
Sid
seen it.
Field and his 2 pinches and the whole thing. So I'll see if he thinks this is the one. I will see how this lines up to Sid Field's paint by numbers version of script writing.
All right.
We'll see how this goes.
So we got Chris, political thrillers. He's got the Parallax View. Next week, 2 weeks from now, we'll watch and review that. Then Russell will give his pick, and so it will go.
Indeed. We're back in the regular movie trap.
And,
no more freebies for you.
Around
Boruff.
Christmas time, we might have a special one-off episode. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that as well.
Cool. All right, well, I guess on that note, I guess it's sign-off time, so we'll go in the reverse order that we opened with, I guess. And I will say that I am Russell Carlson, 1/3 of the host.
And if it's in reverse order, then I'm the next. So this is Chris signing off.
I am Zach. We've done this in the most convoluted way, but it is
You wouldn't know it if it wasn't.
So we'll see you next time. Have an enjoyable fortnight, folks.
Vill du smaka?
Nej.
Huh?
Nej.
Okay.
Nej.